The Labour Party in the UK released a new ad, and I want to play it for you, and then we'll break it down.
These streets were once full of spirit and hope. A proud community where an honest day's work could earn you a decent day's pay. Years of austerity have ripped the heart out of this place. But that's just part of the story. This has been decades in the making. We lost the factories. We lost the jobs. We lost confidence in our community. We lost control. Once the backbone of this country, we've been sold short by a political and economic system that's been unchallenged for far too long. But change is coming. Labour has a plan to kickstart the economy in all the regions of our country, so that our economy works for everyone. Instead of standing idly by as jobs go overseas, we'll invest in the UK. They do it in other countries, and we'll do it here. Creating good jobs with decent wages, not short-term insecure work, but good jobs for the long term. And when more people are secure in their work, paid fairly and valued, they'll spend more of what they earn locally, and our communities will thrive again. But that's just the start. We want to restore the pride in our towns and bring our high streets and communities back to life. Labour will do that by getting the money to where it's needed, by setting up new regional investment banks whose priority won't be casino-style financial gambling, but investing in local people, local communities and local businesses. And with a national education service, Labour will invest in the next generation. Decent schools, well-paid teachers and smaller classes. We won't sell our kids short. We'll give them the support, the equipment and the confidence they need to flourish. We'll help those struggling to find a home by building 1 million affordable new homes over the next decade, not as investment opportunities for the few, but real homes for the many. We will give control back to local people. Labour will bring back essential services into public ownership. No more rip-off energy and water, expensive and overcrowded trains. We'll get them working in the interests of all of us. Together, we'll rebuild Britain. The time for tinkering at the edges is over. We need real and lasting change. It's going to take a lot of work, but only Labour has the ideas and the determination to take on the challenge. Labour will change our economy so that it works for everyone. Because when you create a fairer society, we all share in the wealth that's created.
Together, we will change this country for the better.
For the many, not the few.
For the many, not the few.
For the many, not the few.
Labour will rebuild Britain. For the many, not the few.
Damn, that was a good ad. That was a very good ad. So let's run through it here. I like it because it was substantive. You know, it was substantive. It was totally policy-oriented. So they point out at the beginning that, oh, we've lost a lot of factories, we've lost jobs. It used to be the case that, you know, if you had a job, you get a decent day's pay. So we're going to fight against outsourcing. That's a great message. Like I said, that's one of the populist messages that I think helped Trump win because that helped him win the Rust Belt. They spoke about regional investment banks, which is a great idea. If I'm not mistaken, that's what we in the U.S. would refer to as an infrastructure bank, which is something that we desperately need. They're going to invest in education. They laid that out. They said we're going to create 1 million affordable new homes. And then here's, you know, this is bold. They say we're going to nationalize energy, water, and trains. And they said rebuild Britain. So that's them saying, yes, we're going to do like an infrastructure deal, like a New Deal, if you will. Although they didn't have the original New Deal, so to call it a New Deal doesn't make sense, but you got the point. And the nationalizing energy, water, and trains, I mean, that's fascinating to me because that's labor just openly saying, yeah, we're in favor of nationalizing certain industries. Whereas in the U.S., Democrats wouldn't ever say that about any industry at all. They would never say, oh, yeah, no, we think well, that's what we're talking about when we talk about Medicare for all. One version of a single-payer system would be to just totally nationalize the healthcare system. I mean, technically, you could do a single-payer system where you have private providers funded by tax dollars, so public funding for private for private entities. You could do that. That's like the Canadian system, I think, and the French system. Or you could do the UK style, which is just it's everything's public. So public funding of public entities, public hospitals, public clinics, you name it. So imagine for a second in the U.S., Democrats were just like, yes, we want to nationalize that industry. We want that under government control. You can't imagine it. You can't imagine it because the Dems are just packed full of neoliberal corporatists, whereas the Labor Party has some people who are like, very openly social democratic and some who are just very openly socialist. It like beyond just social democracy where some people advocate, no, I want workers to own the means of production like across the board. I don't happen to agree with that position, but I do believe in social democracy, and I do find it refreshing that you can have like the open advocacy for nationalizing certain industries. I think that's refreshing, and I think that actually needs to be done on some fronts, not all of them, on some fronts. So I think that's a great ad. I think it's a substantive ad, and I think the Democrats can learn a thing or two if they actually want to win. Never mind the fact that they should move to the left policy-wise, but if they want to win, you should copy quite a bit of what Labor is doing.